Take a breath. Let the day fall away. You're safe here. Nothing is expected of you now. The room is quiet. The mind begins to slow, and the world outside starts to dissolve into softness. As you let your body settle, your thoughts remain for just a moment longer, lingering on one curious truth. You don't see what's there. You see what your brain tells you is there. The light around you, the edges of the room, the dimness behind your eyes. All of it is filtered through a hidden world of assumptions, edits, and guesses. Your brain does not wait for perfect information. It fills in gaps before you even realize they're missing. The corners of your vision feel sharp, but they're not. The background details seem clear, but they aren't. You believe in the illusion of full awareness, but that awareness is stitched together like a quilt from scraps of sensation. Each time you move your eyes, you go blind for a moment, a split second of nothing, but your brain erases the gap. It hides the blink with a smooth transition, like a magician switching cards behind his hand. You never feel the blankness. You never see the edits. What you call sight is really a reconstruction, a story the mind tells you in real time based on what it thinks should be there. If a face looks familiar, you'll see it faster. If a shape is expected, it arrives more clearly. Your mind is not documenting reality, it is sculpting it. And it does this not to deceive, but to protect. Because raw reality is far too complex, too fast, too much. So the brain offers something simpler, a world that feels stable, complete, and safe enough to navigate. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, allow this thought to settle. You have never truly seen the world as it is. You've only seen the world as your mind allows it to be, and that's okay. Your brain doesn't strive for truth, it strives for usefulness, for survival, for ease. Vision, as you know it, is an act of faith. It is trust in a system designed to comfort you more than to inform you. The beauty of this isn't in the deception, but in the elegance, the way your brain turns chaos into clarity without you ever needing to ask. And now, as your breath slows and your thoughts begin to float, we'll drift one step deeper, not into what you see, but into how you see. Because the eyes themselves do not see, the brain does. And that's where we'll go next. Now, the world begins to blur a little more as your body softens into stillness. You are safe here, surrounded by quiet. And in this quiet, something becomes clear. Your eyes are not the ones that truly see. They are simply the messengers. They collect patterns of light, movement, and shadow, and then send those signals inward. But the story only begins there. It is the brain that takes those signals and builds the world you believe in. The brain decides what you see, how you see it, and even if you see it. Each flicker of light, each shape on the wall, each blink of your eyes, they are all raw inputs, meaningless until the brain gives them meaning. And it gives that meaning with breathtaking speed and creativity. You are not simply receiving reality, you are participating in its creation. This participation is not something you control. It happens far beneath your awareness. As you walk into a room, the brain fills in missing details before your eyes ever focus. It predicts where the door should be, how the furniture is arranged, what colors belong in the corners. It references memory, context, and expectation to build a seamless view, one that feels complete. Even when you look away and then look back, the brain smooths the transition, editing the blank spaces as if nothing ever changed. This is why illusions work so well. The spinning wheel that seems to freeze, the colors that vanish and reappear, the shape that cannot exist. They do not trick your eyes, they reveal the shortcuts your brain is using. And those shortcuts are not failures. They are features of a system designed for speed, not precision. The world is not seen in high resolution. It is seen just clearly enough to make decisions, to survive, to keep going. So tonight, as your eyes grow heavier, let go of the idea that your vision is a perfect mirror of the outside world. It never was. You are not a passive observer, but a quiet builder. You help shape the world you experience without even knowing it. What you see is not truth. It is what the brain decides is most helpful. It filters, edits, and delivers a version of reality that supports your attention, your emotions, and your actions. And that version is enough. You do not need to see every detail. You only need to feel safe, to feel grounded, to feel real. As your body begins to drift, the next truth begins to rise. It is not just what you see that is an invention. It is what you believe you see most clearly. Color itself that may not exist at all in the way you think. Now we move from the structure of sight to something deeper, something even more surprising. The colors you see, the vivid reds, the calm blues, the endless shades of green, they are not part of the world at all. They are experiences created entirely in your mind. The objects you look at do not have color. They only reflect specific wavelengths of light, and those wavelengths, by themselves, have no color. It is your brain that assigns the sensation of red, or blue, or gold. This assignment is not fixed. In fact, it depends on context, expectation, and memory. What looks like white in the daylight can appear blue under moonlight. The color of a dress can divide millions of people. Your brain interprets light in context, always guessing, always adjusting, and sometimes those guesses do not agree with reality. You may think that color is a property of things, but it isn't. It is a conversation between light and your brain has the final word. That is why some animals see colors we cannot imagine. Bees see ultraviolet patterns hidden in flowers. Birds can detect shifts in color we would call identical. Some shrimp species see a dozen more color channels than humans. This is not because the world has more colors. It is because their brains invent different ones. Color is not discovered. It is invented moment by moment, depending on the wiring of your mind. And even your own color perception can be altered. With special glasses or over time, red can fade, blue can grow intense, the world can become warmer or colder. What you see as color is not locked into your eyes. It is shaped by emotion, memory, culture, and light. So when you recall your favorite shade, or imagine a sunset, or describe the color of someone's eyes, understand that those colors are not part of the outside world. They are internal experiences, triggered by light but painted by the mind. This does not make them less beautiful. In fact, it makes them more. Every time you see color, your brain is adding something that is not there. It is making the world richer, more vibrant, more meaningful, and it is doing this for you to help you feel something. As you begin to sink deeper into rest, let that idea settle in your mind. The next time you open your eyes, the world will not just be seen, it will be recreated, from light into story, from signal into meaning. And what could be more magical than that? Now we come to a space within your own eyes that you have never seen, a place that is always with you but forever hidden. You have a blind spot. Right now, as you read or listen, there is a gap in your visual field. Not a metaphor, not a poetic absence, but a literal hole in what your eyes can detect. Where the optic nerve connects to your retina, there are no light receptors, no rods, no cones, no vision. Every single person has this gap, yet you never notice it. Not once in your life have you looked into the world and seen a black circle floating in your sight. That is because the brain hides it from you. It paints over the absence with guesses. It uses nearby textures, patterns, and expectations to fill the space with something plausible. And you never know the difference. This repair process is not simple. It is not just copying nearby colors or textures. It is reconstructing what it assumes should be there. If you look at a brick wall, the brain extends the lines. If you stare at a page of text, it stretches the words. The fix is silent and invisible. You could live your entire life unaware that this blind spot exists. And yet, it is always there. You can even find it with a simple experiment. Cover one eye, focus on a dot on a screen or paper, and move until the nearby shape vanishes. In that moment, your brain is choosing to give you continuity rather than truth. It is a reminder that what you see is not raw data. It is a version of reality filtered through assumption. Even something as simple as a dot on a page can disappear, and your mind will choose not to tell you. So as your thoughts grow slower and the world begins to fade behind your eyes, remember this: your brain hides what it cannot explain. It does not inform you of its edits. It quietly chooses comfort over accuracy. It has been doing this your entire life. This blind spot is not a flaw. It is proof of the brain's compassion. Rather than forcing you to see the world in broken fragments, it offers you wholeness. And this wholeness is a gift. In the next moment, we will explore another illusion, one even more surprising. Because while your vision can hide things from you, it also hides how much you are moving. The next part reveals a truth you never think to question. The world does not move around you. You are the one who moves. You think the world shifts when you turn your head. You think your eyes scan a still scene, capturing reality as it happens. But the truth is different. The world does not move. You do. And your brain hides that fact with breathtaking precision. Each time you shift your gaze, your eyes flick from one point to another in a motion called a saccade. During this rapid movement, your vision shuts off. For a brief moment, you are blind to the blur. But the brain erases that pause and inserts stability. It gives you the illusion that your vision is continuous and smooth. It pretends that your gaze glides effortlessly from one point to the next. But underneath that illusion is a dance of disconnection. You are never seeing the world as a camera would. You are jumping, pausing, and being edited without ever noticing. The brain stitches these movements into a false stillness. When you walk through a room, the furniture seems to stay in place. When you nod your head, the world appears fixed. But in reality, your perspective is shifting constantly. The brain recalculates space, reorients direction, and delivers the illusion of stability. It even predicts where objects will be so that motion feels fluid. This is not just helpful, it is essential. Without this correction, the world would feel chaotic. Objects would lurch and blur. Balance would be impossible. Your sense of space would collapse. Instead, you feel anchored. You feel like the center of a steady world. And that feeling is created entirely by the mind. The stability you sense is a construction, not a reflection of external truth. So tonight, as your breath begins to slow and your limbs sink deeper into stillness, let that truth settle in. The world you move through each day does not rearrange itself around you. It is your brain that rearranges your experience. It tells you that the world is still while you move. It tells you that you are stable while everything shifts. These illusions are not mistakes. They are acts of protection. The brain offers you clarity where there is chaos. It hides the jarring edges and fills in the gaps. And as you fall gently into sleep, we will now turn to something even stranger. Because not only do you move through a world that appears still, you also live in a moment that has already passed. You are always slightly behind. You are never quite here. And the next step in our journey reveals that you are always living in the past. You feel like you are in the present moment, that your senses deliver the world to you in real time, but they do not. Every sound you hear, every object you see, every touch on your skin, it all arrives late. There is always a delay, a slight gap between the moment something happens and the moment you become aware of it. The signals from your eyes, ears, and skin take time to travel. They must be collected, processed, compared, and interpreted, and this takes milliseconds. You are not conscious of this lag, but it is always there. In fact, your brain waits before giving you the full experience. It collects incoming signals for a brief window, then pieces them together into a coherent now. That now is already gone. You are experiencing a memory, not a live stream. Every moment of your life is built from fragments of the immediate past. This is not a flaw, it is a solution, because your senses do not all work at the same speed. Light reaches your eyes faster than sound reaches your ears. A touch on your toe takes longer to register than one on your face. If your brain processed everything instantly, the world would feel out of sync. Voices would not match lips. Music would not align with movement. To create the illusion of simultaneity, the brain introduces a controlled delay. It synchronizes your senses and delivers a moment that feels unified. That illusion is what allows you to function, to speak, to play, to walk through the world without confusion. But it also means that your awareness is never fully present. It is always just behind the event, just past the real. So as your eyes begin to close and your body gives in to the rhythm of rest, remember this simple truth. The present moment is a story told slightly too late, and yet it feels perfect. The brain edits, aligns, and serves you a version of reality that is delayed but beautiful. This is not deception, it is design. You are meant to live slightly behind, because that delay allows the world to feel whole. As you float gently into sleep, let that idea rest with you. You are not where you think you are, not quite when you think you are. And in the next chapter, we go deeper still. Because not only do you live behind the present, your brain can stretch time itself. The seconds you feel are not always equal. Time bends, stretches, and collapses, all inside your mind. You may believe that time flows in one direction, steady and equal, ticking second by second in perfect rhythm. But inside your mind, time is anything but consistent. It stretches and compresses. It races forward and drags endlessly. A moment of fear can feel like an eternity. A joyful afternoon can disappear in what feels like minutes. The clock may measure time with precision, but your brain does not. It feels time. And that feeling can be shaped by emotion, attention, memory, and expectation. You have lived entire days that seem to last forever, and others that slipped away before you even noticed. This is not your imagination. This is your brain's interpretation of experience. Time perception begins with attention. When you are deeply focused, time often flies. The brain does not register each passing second because it is absorbed. It only leaves behind a few markers, the beginning, the middle, the end, and fills in the rest as a blur. But in moments of danger or surprise, attention spikes. The brain records more detail. More memories are formed per second. And when you look back on that moment, it feels longer because there is more to remember. This is why near accidents or sudden shocks seem to unfold in slow motion. It is not that the world slows down, it is that your brain speeds up. It gathers every shred of information it can, making the event feel larger than life. Your perception of time reflects how many experiences your brain has to stitch together. Emotion is another powerful sculptor of time. When you are anxious, time can feel painfully slow. Your mind checks the clock again and again, expecting movement, but each second stretches. This is because your brain is in a heightened state, constantly scanning, constantly checking. With nothing meaningful to anchor it, time crawls. On the other hand, when you feel joy, peace, or awe, your mind lets go of the clock. It stops measuring. It simply lives. And in doing so, time vanishes. This is why beautiful sunsets, deep conversations, or moments of inspiration often feel timeless. The less your brain tracks time, the less time you seem to notice. And when you reflect on these moments later, they feel short not because they were, but because you didn't need to count them. Even memory bends your perception of time. A month filled with variety and new experiences feels full in hindsight, but a month of routine may feel like it vanished. Your brain compresses repetition. It stores fewer details. So time feels shorter when nothing stands out. Novelty, emotion, and engagement stretch time, both as it happens and in memory. This is why time seems faster as you age. Fewer new experiences, fewer rich memories. The days may be the same length, but the story your brain tells grows shorter. So if you want time to feel full again, do not just measure it. Fill it. Seek experiences. Notice beauty. Give your brain something to remember. And now, as you drift into deeper stillness, hold this thought gently. Time is not something outside you. It is something shaped within. Your brain is the clock, and your thoughts are the rhythm. The next time you feel time slipping through your fingers, remember, you can shape it. In the next chapter, we explore how even your most treasured memories may not be as solid as they seem, because the truth is more unsettling than you think. You cannot fully trust what you remember. You trust your memories. They are the threads that stitch your life together. You believe they are the record of who you are, a collection of moments that shaped your path. You revisit them when you feel lost. You share them with others as stories of truth. But what if those memories are not as reliable as they seem? What if many of them are not recordings, but reconstructions? Your brain does not store experiences like a camera. It stores fragments, pieces of sights, sounds, feelings, and meanings. And when you remember, you do not replay a file. You rebuild a story. Each time you recall a memory, you modify it slightly. You reinforce some details, erase others, blend in emotions, and adapt it to who you are now. This means that memory is not static. It is alive. It changes every time you touch it. The most unsettling truth is that even your most vivid memories can be wrong. People have confessed to crimes they never committed, sincerely believing they were guilty, because their minds assembled false memories under pressure. Eyewitnesses recall the same scene in drastically different ways. Children recall events that never happened if they are told enough times. And even without suggestion, the brain naturally fills in gaps with plausible details. You may remember a sunny afternoon at the beach, but it rained that day. You may swear someone said something they never did. These errors are not flaws. They are side effects of a system built for survival, not for perfect recollection. Memory was not designed to be accurate. It was designed to be useful. Your brain prioritizes meaning over detail. It stores what was important, what you learned, what emotions were triggered, the exact sequence of events, the colors of the walls, the number of people in the room. These may all fade or be rewritten. When you look back, you often see what your brain wants you to see. It fits the memory to your identity, to your beliefs, to the story you tell yourself about yourself. If you think of yourself as brave, your memories will highlight your moments of courage. If you believe you are unlucky, you will remember the times when things went wrong. This selective storytelling helps maintain emotional balance, but it also means that memory can quietly betray you. And so, as you lie still and let the weight of the day fade into softness, hold this idea gently. Your memories are not sacred archives. They are stories retold by a narrator who edits the tale with each telling. That does not make them worthless. It makes them human. They are not lies, but evolving truths shaped by who you were and who you are becoming. In the next part of our journey, we go deeper still, because even the memories you think are yours may have never happened at all. False memories are not rare mistakes. They are a fundamental part of how your brain creates its reality. You might believe that false memories are rare, reserved for unusual circumstances or flawed minds. But the truth is far more unsettling. False memories are not accidents at the edges of human experience. They are common. They are natural. They are quietly woven into your life. Your brain does not need much to create a memory that never truly happened. A few repeated suggestions, a familiar setting, a strong emotion, and suddenly your mind can generate an event that feels just as real as any genuine experience. It can implant people, dialogue, even entire scenes into your personal story. You will remember them with clarity. You will defend them with conviction. And yet, they will never have existed. Studies show that up to 70% of people can be persuaded to recall events that never occurred, especially when those events are emotionally charged or involve familiar themes. A researcher might mention a childhood incident, perhaps being lost in a mall, or spilling punch at a wedding, and after a few gentle nudges, a person will remember it clearly. They may describe the lighting, the sounds, the fear, even what they were wearing. This is not deception. This is the brain doing what it does best, making sense of fragments. Memory is constructive. It is designed to fill in blanks, to smooth over holes, to create coherence where there was once chaos. False memories are not flaws in the system. They are features of a mind that values meaning over fact. Your memories are also vulnerable to influence from those around you. When someone tells a story in a certain way, your memory may adapt to match theirs. Group conversations often lead to alignment of details, not because everyone is recalling the same truth, but because brains synchronize to preserve social bonds. You might find yourself agreeing with events you do not actually remember, or visualizing details that were suggested by others. Over time, these imagined details become indistinguishable from your actual past. The brain does not always mark which parts came from experience and which came from suggestion. Once a false memory forms, it feels just like any other. It carries the same emotional weight, the same visual clarity, the same sense of belonging. And so, as you surrender to the quiet dark and let your breath ease into rhythm, accept this gentle truth. Your mind is not a perfect recorder. It is a painter, a storyteller, a meaning maker. The past you hold inside you is not a museum. It is a novel, revised with every reflection, reshaped by every telling. That is not something to fear. It is something to marvel at. In the next chapter, we drift into another strange corner of the mind, one where you feel certain you have lived a moment before. Déjà vu, but the truth behind it may surprise you, because it is not a glitch. It is a window into how your brain creates the feeling of familiarity. It arrives without warning. A moment, ordinary in every way, suddenly feels familiar. A hallway you have never walked down. A face you do not recognize. A sentence spoken that echoes in your mind like an old memory. You pause, unsettled by the sensation. You are certain this has happened before, even as your reason insists it has not. This is déjà vu, a feeling so powerful it can shake your trust in time. You might think it is some mystical sign, a memory from a past life, a glitch in the simulation of reality, but its roots are deeper and far more fascinating. Déjà vu is not a flaw in your perception. It is a brief crack in the brain's system of prediction. Your brain is constantly forecasting. It tries to stay one step ahead of reality, using patterns from the past to guess what might happen next. This is what allows you to speak fluently, dodge obstacles, finish someone's sentence. It is efficient, but it also opens the door to confusion. When your brain predicts something very close to what actually occurs, a smell, a sound, a rhythm, it sometimes misfires. The result is a mismatch between memory and sensation. You feel as though you are remembering, but no actual memory exists. Your brain registers that the scene is familiar, but it cannot locate the source. It becomes a ghost, a sensation without an anchor, and your conscious mind scrambles to explain it. That is the eerie stillness of déjà vu. What makes this experience so powerful is not just the familiarity, but the certainty. You feel convinced. You know it, even when you know you could not know it. This certainty is not proof of truth. It is proof of how convincing the brain can be. You are not recalling the past. You are experiencing an echo of the brain's own internal simulation. Some scientists believe déjà vu happens when your brain's recognition circuit briefly activates without retrieving a specific memory. It's as if the mechanism that says this is familiar turns on, but the database is empty. Others suggest it may be a tiny delay between processing centers, creating the illusion that the moment has already happened. Whatever the cause, the effect is profound. You feel time twist. You feel the present double back on itself. And as your body begins to relax and your thoughts settle into silence, consider the strange gift of déjà vu. It reminds you that your mind is always constructing reality, predicting, comparing, interpreting. That eerie wave of familiarity is not a message from another world. It is a glimpse into the machinery of your own mind, a moment when the system reveals itself. In the stillness of the night, you can let go of the need to understand everything. Some mysteries are meant to be felt, not solved. In the next part of our journey, we will leave the illusion of time behind and step into the architecture of imagination. Because what your brain invents, what it fills in, is not always fantasy. It is the scaffolding of the reality you believe in. You rarely notice it happening, but your brain is constantly completing the picture. Every moment of every day, it takes fragments of sensation, bits of light, pieces of sound, traces of scent, and constructs a whole world from them. You see only part of a face, but your brain offers the rest. You hear only part of a sentence, but you understand its meaning. You walk through a space filled with gaps, silences, interruptions, and yet your experience feels seamless. This illusion of completeness is one of the brain's most essential tricks. You are not perceiving reality directly. You are perceiving a world the brain has filled in for you. Your eyes have blind spots where the optic nerve exits the retina. There is no light detecting tissue there, but you do not see holes in your vision. Your brain simply guesses what should be there, based on surrounding colors and textures, and fills it in. It does the same with sound. In a noisy room, when words are partially muffled or cut off, your mind reconstructs the full sentence, making the conversation seem smooth. Even touch, smell, and taste are shaped this way. Your brain uses context to fill in missing data. This process is not conscious, it is automatic, and it is necessary. Without it, the world would appear fragmented, disjointed, confusing. With it, you see a coherent story, even if it is not entirely accurate. This filling in happens not just with the senses, but with meaning. When you hear a story, your brain automatically supplies motives, emotions, connections. It creates continuity. It makes people's actions make sense. If a character in a story cries, you assume why. If someone you know seems distant, you build a reason. Even when information is missing, your brain dislikes the gap. It wants closure, so it provides one. This is why we are drawn to stories with clear endings and why we often rush to conclusions in real life. The brain prefers an imperfect explanation to uncertainty. The cost of this preference is that you sometimes believe things that were never fully there. You trust the brain's version over reality itself. And now, as your breathing deepens and the room around you softens into shadows, let this thought guide your rest. The world you know is not only what your senses detect, it is what your brain believes they should detect. You live in a reconstruction, not a recording, and that is not a weakness. It is how you survive. You move through a world full of gaps, and your brain makes it whole. In our next chapter, we will slip even deeper into the edges of waking life into dreams. Because when the brain no longer takes in the world, but creates it from within, the illusion becomes even more complete. As your body surrenders to stillness each night, your mind does something extraordinary. It builds a world. It sculpts landscapes, summons voices, weaves together light and shadow, movement and story. In your dreams, you fly without wings, speak with people long gone, live through entire lifetimes in minutes. And what may be most astonishing is that your brain uses the same circuits it uses when you are awake. The architecture of dreaming is not some separate system. It is reality, repurposed. When you sleep, the theater remains. The actors change. The spotlight shifts inward. The visual cortex, which processes what your eyes see during the day, stays active while you dream. Except now, it responds not to light, but to imagination. The auditory areas still fire, generating sounds that do not exist. The emotional centers, especially the amygdala, grow even more active, adding intensity to dream encounters. Your brainstem paralyzes your muscles, so you do not act out these inner scenes. But the experience inside your head feels just as vivid as waking life. You see, hear, move, and feel in a world crafted entirely from within. Scientists scanning dreaming brains often find patterns nearly identical to those in wakeful perception. The only part that dims significantly is the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, self-awareness, and critical thinking. This is why dreams can feel both real and strange, believable and absurd. Your inner editor sleeps, but the storyteller remains awake. Dreams are not random noise. They are often shaped by your waking life, your fears, hopes, memories, unfinished thoughts. They process emotions, solve problems, rehearse social interactions. Your brain runs simulations while you sleep, testing possibilities and exploring outcomes. It plays out scenarios, searching for patterns, preparing for what may come. Some dreams reflect fragments of your past, Others give form to feelings you cannot voice. Even nightmares have purpose. They rehearse danger, allowing you to practice survival. And yet, none of this feels like a training exercise. In the dream, it feels like reality. Your heart races, your voice trembles, your body reacts. The brain does not distinguish between real and imagined when immersed in dream. So tonight, as you close your eyes and drift toward that quiet sea, remember this: your dreams are not separate from your waking life. They are part of the same mind, using the same tools, building with the same bricks. What changes is not the machinery, but the direction. The outside world fades, and the inner one expands. You are still perceiving, only now. You are the creator as well as the witness. In the next chapter, we move from dreams into something even more profound. Because your brain is not simply imagining stories while you sleep. It is constructing reality itself every moment you are awake. What you call the world may, in fact, be a hallucination your brain agrees to believe. From the moment you open your eyes in the morning, your brain begins a delicate act, not of seeing, but of constructing. It gathers light, sound, touch, scent, movement, each a faint signal from the outside world, and it builds from them a story. The chair beneath you, the color of the walls, the weight of your own body. All of it is a creation, sculpted by billions of neurons, firing in intricate patterns. You are not directly experiencing the world. You are experiencing your brain's version of the world. A mental model shaped by history, prediction, and context. This is not a flaw. It is how your consciousness exists. You are living inside a controlled hallucination, one so convincing it becomes your only reality. The term hallucination may feel too strong, too dramatic, but in truth, the line between perception and hallucination is thinner than it seems. When you hallucinate, your brain creates experiences without input. When you perceive, it creates experiences using just a hint of input, then fills in the rest. In both cases, the brain generates your reality. What makes normal perception different is that it is constrained by the senses. This is the control. The world shapes your hallucination gently, like wind carving the desert, but the hallucination remains. What you see, hear, and feel is not a mirror of the world, but a model your brain has built over a lifetime. That model is rich, detailed, and beautifully believable, but it is not the raw truth. Consider color. Your eyes detect wavelengths of light, but they do not see red or blue or green. Those are experiences the brain adds afterward. Consider sound. Air vibrations strike your eardrum, but the melody you hear is your brain's invention. Consider time. It does not tick steadily in your mind. It bends and stretches based on attention, emotion, and expectation. In every case, the brain does not passively receive the world. It interprets, predicts, and imagines. And it does this with remarkable precision, enough to keep you alive, engaged, and connected. But every experience is filtered through this machinery. And that means reality. Your reality is not fixed. It is fluid. It is personal. It is constructed anew every moment. As your eyelids begin to grow heavy and your breath becomes slower, reflect on this gentle truth. What you know of the world is what your brain allows you to know. You are not merely a witness to your environment. You are a creator, shaping every experience from the inside out, and that should not frighten you. It should free you, because within that creation lies the power to change how you see, how you feel, how you live. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how your brain chooses comfort over truth, familiarity over fact. It is not deception, it is protection. The mind always prefers the story it can live with, even if that story is not entirely real. The brain's greatest instinct is not to find truth, but to create comfort. It seeks patterns, familiarity, coherence, not because they are always accurate, but because they are safe. The world is too complex, too chaotic, too full of contradiction to absorb raw. So your mind filters it, reshapes it, wraps it in meaning that you can carry. When new facts disturb the stories you've already told yourself, the brain hesitates. It leans toward the familiar. It protects what you already believe, even when that belief is incomplete. This tendency is not weakness. It is survival. Certainty feels stable. Doubt feels dangerous. And so, your mind gently shields you from the dissonance that truth can bring. This can be seen in how we interpret other people. Once you decide someone is kind or cold or selfish, you begin to filter their actions through that belief. You notice the things that confirm your idea. You dismiss the ones that challenge it. The brain loves consistency. When faced with conflicting evidence, it smooths it over to preserve your sense of order. This is why first impressions matter so deeply. It is why changing your mind, truly changing it, feels uncomfortable. The effort required to rewrite a belief is far greater than the effort needed to reinforce it. That is why illusions persist. It is easier to keep believing something slightly wrong than to rebuild the entire structure from scratch. Even your sense of self, who you are, what you believe, how you feel, is shaped by this same preference. The mind creates a version of you that aligns with your choices, your memories, your desires. But when life pulls you in a new direction, when your feelings change or your values shift, the brain resists. It prefers to preserve the old story. This is why growth often feels like grief, because part of the mind must let go of its familiar illusions. Yet sometimes it is that letting go that frees you. The moment you question what you always assumed, you step outside the walls your brain built to comfort you. And in that space, you begin to see not just what is real, but what could be. So as the quiet of night deepens around you, allow yourself to release some of the stories you no longer need. They were never lies meant to harm you. They were shelters, temporary homes the mind built while you searched for truth. You are not fragile because you believed them. You are brave for questioning them now. In the next chapter, we will go even deeper into the illusion. We will explore the version of you that your brain has created, a self that feels whole, but maybe just another useful construction. When you think of who you are, a picture forms in your mind, a sense of continuity, a feeling of being one person with thoughts, memories, preferences, and a voice that feels uniquely yours. But this sense of self is not as solid as it seems. Your brain constructs it moment by moment, weaving together sensations, reflections, and internal narratives. This you that you recognize is not a single thing stored in one place. It is a process, constantly shaped by your body, your environment, and your experience. You are not a fixed entity. You are an unfolding pattern, stitched together by the brain's need for coherence. Neuroscience shows that different brain networks contribute to your sense of self. The default mode network plays a key role in self-reflection, daydreaming, and imagining other people's perspectives. But when this network quiets down during meditation, deep focus, or certain brain injuries, the feeling of a personal I often fades. People describe these moments as peaceful, liberating, even spiritual. It reveals something essential. The self is not always present. It appears when needed, when you tell a story, when you plan, when you remember, but it can vanish without destroying your awareness. You continue to experience, even without narrating yourself into the scene. This raises a quiet, astonishing truth. The person you feel yourself to be is not the full story. You have thoughts you do not notice, feelings that arise without explanation, beliefs formed from memories you no longer recall. The brain edits your self-image constantly, smoothing over contradictions and gaps. You may believe you act from clear intentions, but many of your decisions are made before you are aware of them. The conscious you arrives after, to explain and justify. This is not a failure, it is efficiency. The brain handles most things behind the scenes, giving you just enough of a self to make sense of it all. You are both the puppet and the puppeteer, the storyteller and the story being told. As you lie in the soft stillness of your room, take a moment to feel that gentle separation. You are here, and yet, the you that you think of as yourself is also something your brain creates. This knowledge can feel unsettling, but it can also be freeing. You are not trapped by who you believe you are. You are not limited to the stories you have told. You are changeable, fluid, expansive. In the next chapter, we will move from the self to the senses and explore how your brain begins to filter out the very things it once relied on most. Your senses are always awake, always gathering information. The pressure of your clothes, the temperature of the air, the weight of your body against the bed, all of these are being detected in this very moment, and yet you rarely notice them. That is because your brain is not designed to pay attention to what stays the same. It is built to detect change, a shift in sound, a flicker of movement, a new sensation against the skin. Constancy fades from awareness, not because it disappears, but because the mind decides it is no longer useful to notice. In a world full of signals, silence becomes invisible. This filtering is not laziness, it is strategy. Your nervous system has limited bandwidth, and if it were to give equal weight to every sound, every flicker of light, every sensation, your awareness would be drowned in noise. So the brain tunes out what is steady. This is why you stop noticing the hum of a fan or the smell of your own room. It is why a ticking clock disappears from your mind until it suddenly stops. Your perception of the world is not a mirror, it is a spotlight. It moves to what changes, what might matter, what might require action. The rest fades quietly into the background, where it no longer tugs at your attention. Even pain, one of the most primal signals of the body, obeys this rule. Chronic pain becomes harder to locate and describe because the mind adapts to it. What once felt sharp becomes dull, not because it is less harmful, but because it is no longer new. The same is true for comfort. The warmth of a blanket, the rhythm of your breath, these sensations are gentle, steady, and so your awareness lets them slip away. This process is called sensory adaptation, and it is one of the brain's most powerful tools. It protects you from overload, but it also means that you live in a filtered world, not the full truth of your body or environment, but a curated version built to highlight what changes. Tonight, as you lie in stillness, take a moment to notice what is constant. The feeling of your back against the mattress, the quiet whisper of air through your nose, the steady beat of your heart. These sensations have been with you all along, just beneath the surface of awareness. Let them gently return. Let them ground you. In the next chapter, we will explore what happens when the body remembers something that is no longer there, and why, even after a loss, the brain continues to feel what has vanished. In the quiet that follows loss, the body sometimes remembers more than it should. For many people who have lost a limb, the sensation of that missing part never fades. They feel it itching, burning, aching. They reach to scratch what is no longer there. This is not imagination. It is a vivid, persistent experience called phantom limb sensation. And for many, it comes with real pain. The limb is gone, yet the feeling remains, deeply embedded in the body's map of itself. The brain does not simply forget. It continues to send signals to a part that can no longer respond, and in that space, pain often grows. This happens because your sense of your body, where it is, how it moves, what it feels, is not only built from your skin or muscles. It is created in the brain, in a region called the somatosensory cortex. Here, every part of the body has a place, a map of sensation and position. When a limb is removed, that map is not immediately redrawn. The brain still expects signals. It still believes the hand is there, the foot is there, and in the silence that follows, the brain can create its own noise. Pain is often the result. Not because the body is broken, but because the brain is trying to understand something that no longer fits its model of reality. Phantom pain reveals something deeper about how sensation works. You do not feel things directly. You feel the brain's interpretation of what the body reports. And when those reports stop coming, the brain fills the silence in its own way. Sometimes it guesses correctly. Other times it creates discomfort where there is nothing to fix. But this is not a flaw. It is the brain doing what it has always done, creating experience from patterns, memory, and expectation. The same mechanism that lets you feel your phone in your pocket or your hand resting on a table is what causes a phantom limb to itch. The brain does not need the limb. It only needs the idea of the limb to generate sensation. Now, as you rest in your own body, whole or healing, you might notice how much of your sense of self is built from within. Your limbs, your skin, your breath, all of it is interpreted before it is known. What feels solid is constructed, and what feels missing may still echo. In the next chapter, we will explore how the mind can harness this inner world not only to feel pain, but also to heal, and how belief itself can reshape biology. Not every cure begins with a drug. Sometimes, healing begins with belief. In clinical trials, patients are often given sugar pills or saline injections, substances with no active ingredients, and yet, time after time, many of them report real improvement. Their pain fades, their symptoms ease, their mood lifts. This is the placebo effect, and while it might seem like a trick, it reveals something profound. The mind, when convinced, can signal the body to change. It is not pretending, it is participating in healing. And the brain, it turns out, has been preparing for this all along. Within your brain, chemical messengers are ready to respond to hope. Believing that you are receiving help triggers the release of endorphins, the brain's natural painkillers. It activates dopamine, lifting mood and increasing motivation. In some studies, even measurable changes in blood pressure, heart rate, and immune function follow a placebo treatment. The expectation of relief is not a passive state. It is a biological event. The brain acts on that belief, reaching into systems usually thought to be automatic and shifting the way the body behaves. Placebo does not mean imaginary. It means that the mind was powerful enough to turn a symbol, a pill, a word, a ritual into a real response. What makes this more fascinating is how specific the placebo effect can be. If a patient believes a cream will numb the skin, they might experience reduced pain in just that spot. If they trust that an injection will help their knee, the relief is often felt right there. The brain is not being fooled. It is being focused. And this focus tunes the nervous system, shaping perception and altering chemical signals. Even the size, color, and cost of a placebo pill can influence its effectiveness. The mind reads these details as clues and adjusts the response accordingly. It is a dance between expectation and physiology, one that shows just how closely belief and biology are connected. So tonight, as your thoughts settle and your body softens, consider how powerful your mind truly is. You are not at the mercy of your sensations. You shape them. You are not a passive observer of your body. You are a participant in how it heals. In the next chapter, we will look even deeper into the nature of pain itself and discover why what hurts may not be as simple as it seems. Pain feels like a warning, sharp, urgent, unmistakably real. It seems to come from the body, from the site of injury or strain. But pain is not simply a signal from your skin or bones. It is an experience created in the brain. Nerves carry information, yes, but they do not carry pain itself. They carry pressure, temperature, damage, or threat. The brain receives those messages and decides how much pain to assign them. It weighs the context. It considers past experiences, your emotional state, your attention, and your expectations. Only then does it construct the sensation you feel. Pain, in this way, is not a fact. It is a judgment. There are cases where people suffer major injuries and report no pain at all. Soldiers on the battlefield, athletes in the final minutes of a game, parents rushing to protect a child. Their brains, focused on survival, suppressed pain because it would interfere with the task at hand. There are also moments where pain appears without a clear cause, chronic pain that lingers for years, even after tissue has healed. This happens not because the body is lying, but because the brain has learned to be hypervigilant. It expects pain and creates it, even in the absence of danger. This doesn't make the pain imaginary. It makes it deeply real, just born from a different source than we assume. The truth is, pain is not a flawless alarm system. It is adaptive, meaning it changes based on your needs, your focus, and your beliefs. If you think something will hurt more, it often does. If you trust that it will hurt less, the sensation eases. If you are distracted or comforted, the intensity drops. This is why stories, music, and touch can soothe. They do not fix the damage. They shift the brain's priorities. They redirect its attention. They change the meaning of the signal. Even the simple act of labeling a sensation as pressure instead of pain can reduce discomfort. The mind shapes the message, and the message becomes the experience. So tonight, if your body aches or your mind carries tension, know this: you are not powerless before pain. You are not broken for feeling too much or too little. Your brain is doing its job, trying to protect you, trying to interpret the world. But you have tools, gentle ones, to guide that interpretation. Breath, stillness, music, warmth, belief. These can speak to your nervous system, softly reshaping what it hears. In the next chapter, we will explore how the senses themselves often disagree, and why the harmony you feel is actually the product of internal negotiation. Every moment, your brain is flooded with input. Sound, sight, touch, balance, taste, smell, all flowing in at once from different angles at different speeds. And yet, what you experience feels unified. The voice you hear matches the lips you see moving. The chair you sit on feels solid where it looks solid. The step you take lands where your eyes predicted. But behind this seamless experience is something far more complicated. Your senses do not always agree. They argue, overlap, override one another. The brain listens to each one and then makes a decision about what is most likely to be true. That decision is your reality. You can see this negotiation in illusions. Watch a video where the sound of footsteps plays slightly ahead of the image, and your brain will try to sync them. Taste food while holding your nose, and flavors will disappear. Stand in a room with spinning walls, and even if your feet are planted, you may feel like you are moving. This is sensory conflict. One sense says yes, the other says no, and the brain must choose. It does this constantly, balancing signals, filling gaps, and sometimes overriding truth in favor of coherence. The goal is not accuracy. The goal is stability. A stable sense of reality, even if imperfect, helps you act with confidence. This means that your perception is not a passive recording. It is a constructed agreement, a compromise between conflicting voices. If sight is more reliable in a situation, the brain may trust it over touch. If sound is uncertain, it may defer to memory. If balance contradicts vision, dizziness may follow as the system struggles to decide. This inner debate is not a flaw, it is a feature. It allows flexibility. It lets you function in a chaotic, noisy world. And it explains why people can experience the same event in entirely different ways. Their sensory weightings, shaped by biology, attention, and experience, are not the same. So, as you settle into rest, know that your senses are doing their dance even now. Your breath feels slow because your brain believes it is. The darkness is soft because your eyes and ears agree it is safe. You are not just lying still. You are being held together by your mind's quiet decision to harmonize the world. And as we move forward, we will begin to look at the brain not only as an interpreter, but as a prediction machine, always guessing, always expecting, and often making those guesses come true. Your brain is not simply reacting to the world. It is constantly predicting what will happen next. Long before your eyes see the ball fly through the air, your brain has already calculated its path. Before a word is spoken, your mind anticipates the sound. When you reach for your cup, you do not wait to feel its weight. You already have an expectation built from memory, sensation, and learned patterns. This is not a conscious effort. It is the default mode of the brain. Predict, compare, adjust, repeat. In many ways, you are living in what your brain expects to happen, not just what is happening. These predictions are formed from years of experience. They guide your movements, shape your perceptions, and fill in gaps when information is missing. If you walk into a familiar room and a chair has been moved, you may stumble, not because you failed to see, but because your brain had already predicted where that chair would be. That prediction felt real. When things align with what is expected, the brain quiets. When they do not, it jolts awake, reevaluating the scene. This is why surprises feel so vivid. They force your brain to abandon its guess and pay closer attention. But here is the curious part. Your brain does not just use predictions to understand reality. It often uses them to create it. When you expect to see something, you are more likely to see it. When you expect pain, you are more likely to feel it. If a doctor tells you a treatment will work, your brain may trigger real changes in chemistry because of that belief. This is not delusion. It is perception influenced by prediction. The brain places so much trust in its own forecasts that it can override what the senses are trying to report. This happens in everyday life. You think someone said your name in a noisy room, and your brain fills in the blanks. You taste sweetness in a food because you expect it to be sweet. You walk through a familiar space in darkness and still feel oriented. These are predictions becoming experience. As you drift into rest, consider how much of your life is shaped not by what is, but by what you believe is coming. Your brain does this to protect you, to keep you ahead of danger. to guide you through a world too complex to process all at once. It is not perfect, but it is remarkably adaptive. In the next chapter, we will explore one of the brain's quietest but most essential systems, the one that does its best thinking when you are doing nothing at all. There is a part of your brain that comes alive when you do nothing. When you are staring out a window, waiting in line, or lying still before sleep, it begins to hum in the background. This network is not idle. It is deeply active, quietly shaping your thoughts, replaying memories, imagining futures, and keeping your sense of self intact. It is called the default mode network. Scientists once believed the brain was resting when not engaged in a task, but now we know that during these moments of stillness, the brain is far from silent. It is constructing your identity, refining your understanding of others, and weaving your inner story. The default mode network connects regions across the brain, areas responsible for memory, introspection, imagination, and emotion. When you are not focused outward, your attention turns inward, and this network takes over. It is the source of daydreams and self-reflection. The reason you suddenly remember a childhood moment or imagine a conversation that has not yet happened. It is here that your mind rehearses possible futures, analyzes past regrets, and considers the thoughts and feelings of people around you. This is the space where empathy and foresight live. When you wonder how someone else feels, when you reflect on who you are becoming, it is the default mode network that gently guides the process. But this network does more than reflect. It protects continuity. Even as your memories fade and your body changes, your inner sense of being you remains steady. This is partly because the default mode network is constantly maintaining the thread of your personal narrative. It links events across time and keeps your story coherent. Without it, your experience of self would fragment. People with damage to this network often struggle with identity and emotional understanding. That is how central it is, not just to memory or thought, but to being human. So now, as your body rests and your mind begins to wander, this hidden network awakens. It does not need instructions or tasks. It thrives in the gentle quiet. In the next chapter, we will explore what happens when this network is disrupted, when the unified sense of self begins to unravel and reveal the delicate boundaries of consciousness itself. Sometimes, something strange happens. A person will look into a mirror and feel as if the face staring back is unfamiliar, not because it has changed, but because they feel like someone else, or perhaps no one at all. These experiences are rare, but they teach us something profound. The sense of self, that inner voice saying "I am me," is not fixed. It is not a singular thread. It is a construction, delicate and complex, held together by activity in certain regions of the brain. And when these regions falter or disconnect, the sense of self can begin to dissolve. This can occur during neurological episodes, in deep meditation, under the influence of certain substances, or in moments of extreme trauma or illness. People describe it in different ways. Some say they felt like an observer, watching their body from outside. Others say they ceased to exist entirely for a brief moment, as though they became space itself. These are not signs of madness. They are windows into how the self is built. Neuroscience shows that regions like the parietal lobes, responsible for mapping your body in space, and the default mode network, which we explored before, play key roles in self-awareness. When their patterns shift or are disrupted, the cohesive sense of I can fade. But loss of self is not always frightening. For many, it brings a feeling of peace, a quieting of the constant mental chatter. In some traditions, it is even seen as a path to spiritual awakening, the temporary silence of the ego, revealing a larger connection to the world. These moments show that the self is not a fixed thing you carry inside you. It is a process, one that your brain maintains moment by moment. Your history, your feelings, your memories, your body, all combined in real time to give you the experience of being someone. When that process softens, you are still here, but you may feel different, looser, untethered, open. As you lie in stillness now, let that thought settle gently. You are not just your thoughts. You are not just your memories or your name. You are the awareness behind them. And when the self quiets, even for a breath, what remains is not emptiness. It is space. It is calm. It is the raw openness that holds all your experiences. In the next chapter, we will meet a mind that was once whole but became divided, and what that teaches us about how many selves may live inside us at once. In rare surgeries performed to treat severe epilepsy, doctors have sometimes severed the corpus callosum, the thick bundle of nerves that connects the brains to hemispheres. These procedures do not change a person's appearance. They do not erase memory or cause visible damage, but they reveal something extraordinary. When the connection between the left and right brain is cut, something fundamental changes. It is as if two separate minds begin to inhabit the same body. Each side of the brain still functions, but now they work in quiet separation, processing information independently, unaware of what the other sees or feels. One of the most famous findings from split brain research came when patients were shown images in only one visual field, either left or right. When an image was shown to the right visual field, processed by the left hemisphere, the patient could describe it with words. But when shown to the left visual field, processed by the right hemisphere, the patient could not name what they saw. Still, they could draw it with their left hand. This meant that even though one half of the brain had seen the image clearly, it could not communicate this to the other half in words. The person had seen it, understood it, responded to it, and yet could not explain it. Two experiences lived in one mind, but one remained silent. Other experiments revealed even more curious details. Sometimes the left hand, controlled by the right hemisphere, would reach for something the right hand had not intended. A person might try to pick an outfit with the right hand, only to have the left hand push it away. In such moments it appeared as if two wills were operating at once, one quiet and non-verbal, the other dominant and speaking. This does not mean split-brain patients feel like two people. Most describe themselves as whole. But the experiments show that our sense of unity is something created by communication within the brain. It is not an automatic truth. It is an agreement between parts. As you rest now, let this understanding deepen. Your sense of being one person is not a given. It is a harmony, a constant dialogue between regions, senses, and memories. Your thoughts, emotions, movements, and speech are all coordinated across vast networks. When they flow together, you feel whole. When they disconnect, the illusion of singularity wavers. Yet the person remains. The awareness stays. In the next part of our journey, we will explore something even more mysterious. The question of whether consciousness itself is truly steering the ship, or simply riding along, watching the story unfold. You like to believe you are in control, that your decisions arise from careful thought, that your consciousness, the part of you that thinks, plans, and reflects, is steering the ship. But the more scientists study the brain, the more it becomes clear that consciousness may not be in charge. It may not even be the one making the decisions. Instead, it might simply be watching events unfold, explaining choices after they have already been made, narrating actions it did not initiate. This realization does not make you less human. It simply reveals how vast and layered the mind truly is. Consider the famous experiments by neuroscientist Benjamin Libet. He asked people to perform a simple task, like pressing a button whenever they felt ready. While doing this, their brain activity was measured. The surprising result was that the brain showed signs of preparing the action nearly half a second before the person reported having made the decision. In other words, the brain began acting before the conscious mind claimed credit. Many similar studies have since supported this idea. Much of what you think of as voluntary may be prepared in silence, served up to consciousness like a finished dish. You might wonder then, if consciousness is not initiating everything, what is its role? It may be something deeper and more beautiful. Your consciousness seems to serve as an interpreter, a storyteller, a meaning maker. It watches the actions and reactions of the body and mind, then weaves them into a narrative. It gives coherence to experience, linking past to present and projecting into the future. Without it, the world would still move, decisions would still happen, but there would be no reflection, no poetry, no self-awareness. Consciousness allows you to ask not just what happened, but why it mattered. It is the mirror in which your life becomes a story. Now, as you settle into stillness, think of your thoughts as clouds passing across a vast sky. Not all of them belong to you in the way you believe. Some rise from ancient instincts, others come from habits formed long ago, and some simply appear uninvited. Yet your awareness remains, watching, feeling, naming. Consciousness might not command the orchestra, but it hears the music and gives it meaning. In the next chapter, we will explore how illusions, even false ones, can be the very thing that allows you to feel most real. Some illusions fool the eyes, others fool the ears. But the most powerful ones are not tricks of the senses. They are the stories you tell yourself, the invisible beliefs and quiet narratives that give your life shape. These illusions do not blur reality, they define it. They tell you who you are, what you value, where you belong. And strangely, even when they are not entirely true, they help you feel more real. That is the paradox of the mind. To navigate a vast and uncertain world, it sometimes chooses comfort over accuracy, clarity over chaos. Think about the illusion of permanence. You know things change. Your body, your relationships, your memories. Yet your mind holds on to the feeling that things stay the same. This illusion helps you form attachments. It allows you to plan for the future and trust the people around you. Without it, every moment would feel uncertain, every bond too fragile to believe in. Or take the illusion of self-consistency. You believe you are the same person today that you were 10 years ago. But every cell in your body has changed. Your memories have faded and reshaped themselves. Still, you feel like the same you. That illusion gives your life narrative coherence. It helps you grow without losing your sense of home within yourself. Even the belief in free will, the sense that you are choosing each moment, plays this role. Though science shows how much of your behavior is influenced by unconscious processes, you still feel like an active author of your story. This feeling helps you take responsibility. It fuels hope and resilience. It gives meaning to your actions. These are illusions, not because they are lies, but because they simplify something more complex. They turn a messy, unpredictable reality into something you can live in, dream in, and find your place in. As you breathe quietly now, notice how many gentle illusions hold you. The feeling of stability in your body, the continuity of time, the quiet voice inside that says, "This is me." These are not flaws, they are features. They allow the mind to function with grace, to move through chaos with calm. Without them, the raw truth might be too much, but with them, you can rest. You can feel. You can belong to something deeper. In the next chapter, we will explore how these illusions do more than protect you, they comfort you, shaping your inner world into a space where peace is possible. Not all illusions are designed to deceive. Some are built to soothe. The mind does not always seek truth in its rawest form. Often it reaches instead for something more gentle, a version of reality softened at the edges, made easier to carry. These are the illusions that do not just distort facts. They offer safety. They offer rest. They tell you that what hurts can heal, that what is uncertain can be held, that even in a world full of mystery, you are allowed to feel at peace. These illusions are not weakness. They are protection, shaped by evolution and refined by experience. Think of how the mind copes with loss. When someone close to you disappears from your life, there is a space they once filled in your memories, your routines, your heart. And yet, for a time, your brain continues to simulate their presence. You may feel as if they are about to walk through the door. You may hear their voice in your thoughts. This is not denial. It is a gentle illusion that allows your emotions to catch up to reality. The brain softens the impact of grief, not by blocking it, but by letting you move through it in stages. Comfort here comes, not from forgetting, but from holding on gently until you are ready to let go. Or consider how you remember the past. The mind does not recall every detail with precision. Instead, it rewrites history through a lens of meaning. Painful memories are dulled. Joyful ones are sometimes brightened. You do not remember exactly what happened. You remember what mattered. And in doing so, you create a story that sustains you. These illusions shape identity. They help you grow. They remind you that you have survived, that you have found light in darkness, even when the path was not clear. Truth in these cases is not the full record. It is the emotional truth, the version of events that helps you move forward. Now, as you lie still in the quiet, let these thoughts settle softly around you. The illusions that comfort you are not betrayals. They are signs of a mind that wants you to rest, to endure, to dream. They are woven through your sense of time, your sense of self, your sense of others. And while it is good to know where illusion begins, it is also good to be held by them when needed. The brain, in its wisdom, knows when to show you the full picture and when to close the curtains, just enough to let you sleep peacefully. In the next part, we will look at how this wiring for wonder does more than protect. It inspires, shaping the very sense of awe that keeps you reaching for what lies beyond. The brain was not built merely to survive. It was shaped to marvel, to find light in the unknown, to stand before the vastness of the sky or the silence of a thought, and feel something more than fear, to feel wonder. This sense of awe is not just a poetic flourish. It is woven into your neural circuits. When something surprises you, when it defies prediction or reveals beauty beyond expectation, your brain lights up with activity. Networks in the prefrontal cortex, the parietal lobes, even the default mode network begin to dance. And in that moment, something quiet happens. You feel small, but you do not feel insignificant. You feel part of something larger. Wonder rewires perception. It slows time. It expands attention. You are no longer rushing forward or caught in memory. You are rooted in the now. A child seeing snow for the first time. A traveler staring at the Milky Way with tears in their eyes. These are not random feelings. They are the brain's way of saying, pause, absorb, connect. When you feel awe, the self becomes quieter. The usual chatter of the mind softens. You begin to sense not just what is in front of you, but what it means to witness it. Wonder turns perception into reflection. It bridges the gap between sensation and spirit. This response is not only emotional, it is physiological. Studies show that when people experience awe, their heart rate stabilizes, inflammatory markers in the body decrease, the nervous system shifts from stress toward calm. People become more generous, more humble, more open. The brain, when moved by wonder, becomes more resilient, and in that state, it learns more easily. Children learn through awe every day. Adults, too, feel most alive when they are pulled out of routine into mystery. That pull is not a flaw, it is a feature. It has helped humans create art, explore oceans, and seek answers in the stars. So tonight, as you rest and listen, notice the wonder in ordinary things. The rhythm of your breath, the softness of your pillow, the quiet unfolding of thoughts that seem to rise from nowhere. This too is awe. The realization that your brain, in all its complexity, is making meaning in every moment. That you are alive inside a world far more beautiful than you sometimes remember. Wonder is not rare. It is just quiet. And when you make space for it, you return to something ancient, something sacred. In our next reflection, we will see how the brain does something even more profound. How it protects you not only from harm, but from the full weight of truth itself. The world is overwhelming. It is full of noise, sensation, emotion, and uncertainty. At any given moment, your senses are receiving more information than you can consciously process. Every glance, every sound, every texture, and every smell carries with it a stream of data. If the brain allowed all of this to flood your awareness, the result would be chaos. You would be frozen by detail, unable to decide what matters or what to do next. But you are not overwhelmed, because your brain is filtering, selecting, shaping. It does not give you the full truth. It gives you the version you can live with. This is not deception. It is design. Evolution favored minds that simplified complexity. Minds that ignored distractions to focus on what mattered most: safety, connection, nourishment, shelter. Your attention is narrow, not by accident, but by purpose. It filters out the irrelevant, silences the unnecessary, blurs the background so the foreground can shine. This is why you can read a book in a noisy room, why you can fall in love with a single face in a crowd, why you can focus on hope even when surrounded by fear. The brain protects you not just by defense, but by reduction. It edits reality to serve your survival and your sanity. Even emotions are shaped by this protective force. You are capable of deep grief, but rarely do you feel its full weight all at once. The mind breaks sorrow into pieces. It gives you sadness in waves, memories in fragments. The pain becomes bearable because it is softened, spread out across time. The same is true for fear, for regret, for longing. You are never given more than you can handle at any one moment. And when it becomes too much, the brain steps in again through dreams, through forgetfulness, through distraction. It pulls you back from the edge and into the rhythms of daily life. As you lie here tonight, safe in stillness, consider this quiet truth. What you see, what you remember, what you feel, all of it has been touched by the mind's invisible hand. You are not being lied to. You are being held, cradled in a version of reality shaped for meaning, for endurance, for peace. The full truth is out there. vast, sharp, unfiltered. But the version you live in is not less real. It is more human. And in the final part of this journey, we will explore how this illusion of life, soft, beautiful, incomplete, might just be the most meaningful dream your brain ever created. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking inside a dream. Everything feels vivid, but soft. You are aware, yet slightly detached. Things make sense, but only just enough. That is what life feels like sometimes. Not because it is a dream in the literal sense, but because your brain creates your reality in the same way a dream does, from memory, from meaning, from sensations stitched together with care. From the moment you wake to the moment you sleep again, you are not simply witnessing life, you are shaping it. You are living inside a version of the world that your mind has built for you. This version is beautiful not because it is perfect, but because it feels real enough to move you. The warmth of sunlight through a window, the sound of a familiar voice, the memory of laughter shared long ago. None of these things exist as they are in the raw world. They are colored by mood, softened by nostalgia, heightened by emotion. And still, they are the moments that make life worth living. What you call reality is not just atoms and facts. It is meaning, emotion, attention, and love. That is the dream, not false, but deeper than facts alone. You are not asleep, but you are dreaming in another way. The dream is how your mind gives shape to experience. It is how the brain, with all its quiet genius, filters chaos into calm. It chooses what to hold and what to let pass. It keeps what you need and lets go of what would hurt too much. It fills gaps in memory with stories. It fills empty spaces in silence with feeling. It is not lying. It is protecting you. And in doing so, it creates a life that you can walk through, feel deeply, and cherish even when it is hard. As you lie in the quiet now, with your breath soft and steady, know that this dream is yours, not in the sense of ownership, but in the sense of intimacy. The thoughts that pass through your mind, the memories that rise uninvited, the warmth you feel when someone holds your hand, these are not illusions to escape. They are the dream's most beautiful parts. The truth is not always in the cold clarity of facts. Sometimes the truth lives in what moves you, what calms you, what brings you home to yourself. This dream, imperfect and incomplete, is yours, and it is enough. If this video brought you a sense of calm or opened your mind to the wonders of how the brain works, we'd love to hear from you. Tap the like button to let us know you're enjoying these gentle science journeys. Leave a comment below and tell us where in the world are you watching from tonight. Whether you're drifting off under city lights or relaxing in a quiet village, your presence here matters. Don't forget to subscribe and join this growing community of curious minds and quiet dreamers.